Lalita and the echo of her dreams. Lalita grew up in a bustling little town, where the streets were always alive with laughter, music, and chatter. But Lalita wasn't one of the loud voices in the crowd. She was quiet, always observing from the edges, her dreams tucked away where no one could see them. Deep in her heart, Lalita carried a big dream. She wanted to be a storyteller, standing on a stage to share tales that could make people laugh, cry, and feel deeply. At night, she imagined audiences clapping and cheering as her stories unfolded. But each morning, doubt crept in like a shadow, whispering, "Why would anyone listen to you?" One day, Lalita decided to take her first step. Her town hosted a small talent night each month, a chance for anyone to share their skills. It wasn't a big event, but to Lalita, it felt like standing at the edge of a mountain. She spent weeks crafting her story. It was about a small bird braving a storm, a tale of resilience and hope. The night of the event, she stepped onto the little stage, her heart thundering in her chest. The spotlight felt hot and heavy, but she began to speak. Her words stumbled at first, and wavered like a flickering flame. The audience was kind but distracted, their attention slipping away. When she finished, there was polite applause, but no real connection. Lalita left the stage with her head bowed, doubt weighing her down. But Lalita wasn't ready to give up. "Next time will be better," she told herself. She returned to the stage month after month, crafting new stories, refining her words. Yet, each time, the results were the same. Her voice was too soft, her confidence too fragile, and the audience's reactions stayed lukewarm. One night, after yet another performance that left her feeling invisible, she overheard someone whisper, "Maybe storytelling isn't for her." Those words stung like a cold wind, but instead of breaking her spirit, they lit a tiny spark of determination in her heart. "I'll find a way," she promised herself. One quiet evening, Lalita wandered to a field just outside the town, seeking comfort in the open sky. She sat beneath an old tree, watching the tall grass sway in the breeze. As the wind brushed against her skin, it felt almost alive, carrying a soft, invisible voice. "What are you afraid of, Lalita?" The breeze seemed to ask. "I'm afraid I'm not good enough," Lalita whispered. "I'm afraid no one will ever care about my stories." The wind seemed to sigh through the leaves. "You're telling your stories for the wrong reason," it whispered. "You're trying to win applause. But stories aren't about the storyteller. They're about the people who need them." Lalita sat quietly, letting the words settle in her heart. She realized the breeze was right. She had been so focused on proving herself that she had forgotten the true magic of stories. Their ability to connect, to heal, and to inspire. With this new understanding, Lalita returned to the next talent night. This time, she didn't choose a story she thought would impress people. Instead, she told a story that came straight from her heart, a story about her own struggles. She shared her fears, her failures, and her hope that one day she would find her voice. As she spoke, something incredible happened. The audience grew still, their eyes fixed on her. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment, and then came the loudest applause she had ever heard. Afterward, a woman approached her with tears in her eyes. "Your story felt like mine," she said. "Thank you for sharing it." That night marked a turning point for Lalita. She stopped trying to be perfect and started speaking from her heart. Her stories became gifts, meant not to impress but to connect. And as she embraced this new purpose, her audience grew. People came from far and wide to hear her speak, drawn by the honesty and warmth of her words. Years later, when Lalita stood on a grand stage in front of hundreds, she thought back to those early days when her voice felt small. She smiled, knowing that every stumble and failure had taught her something important. It wasn't applause or perfection that made her a storyteller, It was her courage to keep trying and her desire to touch people's hearts. Lalita became more than a storyteller. She became a voice of hope. Through her struggles, she showed others that persistence, not perfection, was the true path to success. Her stories echoed long after the lights went out, reminding people that even when the world seems indifferent, the courage to try again can change everything. And so, Lalita's voice became a lantern for others, lighting the way for those who doubted themselves. She never gave up, and in doing so, she inspired others to keep going too. Good night, and may Lalita's courage remind you to keep chasing your dreams, no matter how many times you stumble.